Welcome back to Interview Ninja Step 32, the world of business and organizations. What value does a specific business add? Thinking of many businesses in a value chain. Using value chain analysis to position a business within an industry. Thinking about your own role and occupation, and thinking ahead to what kind of career you want and what kind of industry or government department appeals to you. Before you go for an interview or apply for a job, it's an important part of your preparation to think about the organization you're approaching. Even if it's a university, where do they specialize in? Do they have a particular value add as a university? And especially with businesses, where do they fit into the value chain of the industry where they exist? Value chain analysis helps you talk the language of the organization that you're spending your precious time approaching for an interview or to get a job.
Okay, off we go. All right. So welcome viewers. I'm about 10 minutes into a conversation with Corben because he's going off tomorrow
afternoon.
Up to London to BBC Studio D, somewhere in the hinterland of North London, to do with children in need.
Children in Need is a television show held once every year in the UK to raise money for children in the UK and other countries, many of them in Africa. It involves celebrities and music stars performing. The talent, as performers are called, are not paid and do it for charity. The money comes from the public enjoying the show and phoning in and making donations. And it raises many millions of pounds every year.
And he's got the gig from a friend of a friend. And I'm very, very keen that he understands why that is such an opportunity for him to learn about the big bad world that we all live in. And I think there's nothing more symbolic of the big bad world than children in need, because those children are in need. And we in the West live in this fantastically privileged environment. So the problem is, as an individual, you can lose sight of yourself and the meaning and the significance of such meetings and such opportunities. And if during your lifetime, which let's hope is another 70, 80, 90 years or 100 years, whatever it is, it turns out to be, if you seize the opportunities for yourself to increase your own personal wealth and stature and meaning, then there will be many opportunities for you to give back to the world. Okay, so by going up there and learning for yourself as well as giving for those people who are in such need, it's not a selfish thing to do. You should grasp the learning curve and the experience, and maybe even make the contacts that could be of value to you through your life, could help empower you. And when you are a more empowered person, you're able to give more back. And I think that it's striking that balance of empowering yourself, making yourself better off, but at the same time sharing that wealth and sharing your power, where the real happiness in life can come from. So you'll be mixing with people who've been on that journey. Some of the people you meet will only be there because it's an opportunity for them to exploit the profile and the fact that they can get on telly, and that they'll be at the end of their careers and perhaps a little bit desperate to sort of sustain themselves. There's other people who will be there because that's how they make their living. There'll be some people who are there who just want to give. And that's, all of those things are the reality of life. And I want to run through a session with you in the next 30, 40 minutes, which will help you. So, for you to attend this meeting tomorrow, participate in it, my own conviction is you need to understand a thing called value chain analysis.
I've heard that term before.
Yeah, probably banged it out a few times.
Don't actually know what it means.
No, well, quite. But you will. You'll learn that in the next hour or 53 minutes or whatever. Okay, that's what we're going to do this session. Do you remember earlier you said, you want an agenda session and a this session and that session? So I'm going to talk to you about value chain analysis and why it's important and how it'll help you analyze what you're doing. So in my efforts to prepare something for Corben, I checked out the music industry, which at least initially, Corben's, are you planning to go into the music industry?
Hopefully, I'd like to very much.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm planning. I could go anyway.
Sorry.
I could go into the music industry. I'm going to take what I can get at the moment, be it music, theatre, film, TV. That.
Okay. Well, let's just revisit that. Music, theatre, film, TV.
Music is my number one interest.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm doing things like these children need episodes is to keep my options open. See if I like anything else. It's similar, but not too.
Could we talk of that as the creative arts?
Yes, we could.
Okay, I'm very happy with creative arts because music and video and performing and TV, those four, like TV is a mechanism for what you do creatively to reach people.
Yes.
It's a delivery system. Okay. Music is something that touches the soul of people, helps one person engage with another through sound. Theatre is something which helps you engage with people through what they see and what they hear. So we've covered off TV, what that is. Music, what that is.
Yeah, TV.
Yeah, what was the other one?
Film.
Film. Okay.
Pretty much
Film's
same as TV. Yeah.
Yeah. So film's another mechanism.
Yeah.
But it's also an industry, and I think that's why you probably separated TV and film.
Yes.
Because they're delivery mechanisms, and they are different in some ways, but not. Let's not dig down in that. But it does. It all relates to value chain analysis. Okay. So I tried to put together for Corben an exercise, which, because of the work I've done with different multinational corporations and so on, we find that the way of helping people learn is to give them tasks to do offline when we're not actually working with you, or I'm not actually working with you. So a lot of what I've done is devise exercises for individuals and groups, small groups, large groups, usually groups between 4 and 6 works best as a little mini team, and then you have like 4 or 6 mini groups all competing with each other to achieve the exercise. So the exercise I thought would be relevant is to analyze, using value chain analysis, the new music industry as the industry has changed. It's a waste of time to go back too far of like on the history of the music industry. From one could go back to
Yeah, we just need to know about them now, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we do, but it's worth just touching the 1% of the as it was.
To do any kind of business analysis, it is important to understand the fundamentals of a given industry or situation. These are the driving factors that influence everything else that happens. So for the music industry, that means what is the relationship between sound, which is a fundamental, and people as individuals and as groups.
Okay, to see how fundamental it is. And when people have been going into prehistoric caves and following them down, and what they've been finding is that Stone Age and prehistory human beings used to go right down into these caves and put their handprints up on the walls. But also there's a kind of modern theory that they also used to take rocks with them or whatever and bang on the stalactites or stalagmites and make sounds. And that used to be part of rituals. And so if you were in a coming of age ritual or something, it's like a 13, 14-year-old, if you were that, whatever, because they didn't tend to live more than about 25 years anyway. So young person taken down into the deep, dark depths. And then they showed them the pictures and they'd have the torches flickering and then they'd bang on the rocks and make sounds and things. And I think it's probably true that mankind has been influenced by these deep level emotional experiences of sound from a very, from a million years ago, let's say. So it's why is that relevant? Because human beings over the multiple generations have been influenced by sound. Their emotions, you can change people's emotions by making certain sounds. You can make them happy or sad or energized or inspired. And the power of music to do that has been embraced into humankind. So here we are, that's the background to it. So here we are today. And so we've got all this technology. We don't have to drag someone down into a cave and bang on a rock anymore. Okay? We can just sell them a ticket to come into a concert.
Yeah.
But we can excite and inspire the same emotional response by using the technology that's available to us. All the successful people in theatre and drama, as delivered by film and TV, exploit that intrinsic nature of human beings. So if you want to be successful in the music business, you have to either be part of the creation of that inspiration or the delivery of it. And that's where the idea of a value chain comes in. So it's in the positioning of yourself. What do you do?
This is where I start to describe the different links or business activities in the value chain for a particular industry, in this case, the music industry. If you are thinking of working in a different industry, then try to start with what the total industry does and then break that down and list the different activities involved. Once you've listened to the example of the music industry, that shouldn't be too hard for you to do. Here's a few things for you to think about. What's the population of the country that you live in? And is it the same one you plan to get a job in? How many people out of that population are in the 18 to 25-year-old age group? What are the major industries in the country where you live? Looking at the biggest 10 companies, how many people do they employ? How many new people do they take on? How much is the government an employer? How many people are registered as being unemployed? I'm assuming you're not very interested to become one of those people. So it's a good time now for you to start thinking ahead about getting the job you want and how to interview for it. That's why we set up these two courses, Get the Job You Want and Interview Ninja. And whilst we can't offer guarantees, you will be so far ahead of the game if you can answer those questions. And try asking some of your fellow students or young people you know those same questions. Do they have the least idea of how competitive the environment is? And what are the prime skills that it would be a really good thing to know? What are employers looking for? What does the society need? What is the average salary for good jobs or necessary jobs? Because some jobs aren't about money. They're about adding value and how you feel about the work you're doing. So you've got to decide. And now is a jolly good time to do it. In step 33 of this Interview Ninja course, we're going to continue equipping you with the soft skills and the necessary ways of thinking, so that you will be a winner in the game of life. Party on.